Today we're going to look at the worst Deathtouch cards in Magic the Gathering. The whole point of Deathtouch is so that you can block and exchange with something with whatever you want. In fact, put the fear of intimidation into those creatures. But here we actually have to put the fear of our own creature into this creature. 3 mana, Corpse Blockade. It's a 1/4 zombie. It's got Defender. So that's the purposes of it is to hold the ground. Sacrifice another creature. Corpse Blockade gains Deathtouch until end of turn. So if we want the evil Deathtouch, we got to be sacrificing our own army. And very likely, I have a feeling this is going to end up being a 2-for-1 for our opponent. Okay, now let's take a look at your the suggestions from the crowd. Starting off with Steve Cooper with Battle Fly Swarm. What's up with Battlefly? It is a black 1/1 flyer, and for a black, it gains Deathtouch until end of turn. You know, 1 mana 1/1 is not the worst thing in the world. Having to actually pay for my Deathtouch is... Oh, do I have 1 mana up? Well, I guess they won't attack into us. But if I don't have the 1 mana up, it's just a worthless 1/1 flyer. Next up, we got... Okay, Toilet Ducks. Do the Deathtouch tokens from Ophelia... Viper Whisper count? Absolutely. Any card that can create some sort of Deathtouch situation counts. It doesn't even have to be a creature card. Ophelia Viper Whisper is a 2 mana 1/3 Gorgon Assassin with Deathtouch. What's wrong with this? So far this looks like a pretty good wall that can attack. Whenever Ophelia attacks, you may pay 2 mana. If you do, create a 1/1 black snake creature token with Deathtouch. Well, the thing is, like, this creature by itself... So you want to say the Deathtouch token is bad, but the creature, who cares about it? And then 5 mana until end of turn, whenever one or more Gorgons enter snakes you control deal combat damage to a player. That player loses half their life rounded up. This card is insane. Insane is maybe a strong word, but it's pretty damn good. 2 mana for a Deathtouch token. It's not the greatest. I don't know if it's the worst, though. I'm pretty mid on this card. Does Phage? Phage doesn't technically have Deathtouch. Technically, no. Isn't Phage... And also Phage a danger. Although Phage also, it very hard to make work. Storm Otter. Does Otters have Deathtouch, Christopher B? Oh my god. Okay, next up, we've got... Is there literally a card called Deathtouch? From Christopher? No. I'm getting trolled here. Elixir, save the show. Cryptolith Fragment. If you somehow manage to flip it, it is still bad. Bad from the beginning, bad afterwards. 3 mana for an artifact that enters the battlefield tapped. And also you can tap to add 1 mana of any color. Each player loses 1 life. Why? So I think it's already pretty established that the 3 mana rocks are just garbage. They're bad. And this one comes in the battlefield tapped. And we lose life from it. I mean, everyone else gets to lose life, but like, we don't want to lose life either. At the beginning of your upkeep, if each player has 10 or less life, which is not very likely, we get to transform it. And what are we transforming into? The Aurora of Emrakul is a 1/4 Eldrazi Reflection. What is this, a Winter Fox card? Flying in Deathtouch. Whenever this creature attacks, each opponent loses 3 life. So only as you... Well, I'll admit that when the life totals are low, this one's not too bad. It basically has evasion, and it attacks with lightning bolt power, or so on. But anyway, the front card is so ridiculously terrible. I don't even know how we get to the back side. Next up, we've got Little Deadfly with Vectis Silencers. Vectis Silencers is a 3 mana 1/2 human rogue. 3 mana, Vectis Silencers gains Deathtouch until end of turn. 3 mana for a 1/2, you say? 3 more mana for Deathtouch, you say? No, I'm not. So basically 6 mana to exchange with another creature. That's a pretty expensive removal spell. Next up, we got Toads with Tarjuru Blightblade. Tajuru Blightblade. Okay, I found it. It is just a one. You know what? Honestly, I don't think this is bad enough. It needs to get worse. 1 mana, 1/1 Death Touch. I think that's going rate. That's the going rate for a Death Touch creature. It's basically the worst it can be before it actually gets actual bad. I did Corpse Blockade. It's already been done. Nightmare Incarnation with Fear of the Dark. I need to learn how to type while not looking at my keyboard. Just the other day, I found out my wife can do that. It's a magical power. 5 mana for a 5/5 Nightmare. Whenever Fear of the Dark attacks, if defending player controls no Glimmer creatures, it gains Menace and Death Touch until end of turn. What? Controls no Glimmer creatures? Honestly, that's going to be pretty often. So basically only Death Touch while attacking. On blocking, no Death Touch, nothing. Nada, zip. You're just a regular old 5/5 for 5. Okay, Christopher Elia with Gravecrawler doesn't have Death Touch. Ooh, Islarf, a Killer Among Us. This is a 5 mana enchantment. When a Killer Among Us enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white human creature token, a 1/1 blue merfolk creature token, and a 1/1 red goblin creature token. Then secretly choose human, merfolk, or goblin. Sacrifice a Killer Among Us to reveal the chosen creature type. If target attacking creature token is the chosen type, put 3+1/+1 counters on, and it gains Death Touch until end of turn. This card is more flavorful than actually good. I love that game, though. Oh my god, Among Us was amazing. Arguably maybe my favorite game I've ever played in my life. And I can never relive that high because we're not going to have a COVID for probably for forever. That was a once in a lifetime opportunity to play over Discord. But I lived every moment I could of it. Okay, Charlie, Embodiment of Agonies. Embodiment of Agony. Many agonies. 3 mana for a 0/0 demon. It's got flying and Death Touch. Well, you won't be Death Touching for very much when your power is nothing. But it enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each different mana cost among non-land cards in your graveyard. For example, black 2 generic and black 1 are different mana costs. So if I have nothing in my graveyard, this is nothing. It's like a crappy Tarmogoyf. It's a crappy Tarmogoyf demon, but for any cards, but with different mana costs. The problem is, like, especially in competitive Magic, you want everything pretty low to the ground. It's going to be mostly like 1s, 2s, and 3s for each mana cost among it has to be non-land cards. I can't even count the lands. Damn it. See, Tarmogoyf could add the lands. Tarmogoyf didn't care. Okay, next up. Okay, a Blackbird. You might as well have a 1/1 Death Touch. Feral Abomination. What the hell? 6 mana for a 5/5 Death Touch? Draft common! I agree. Terrible card. Islarf says there's a fun game under the radar called Hide and Shriek. It's a 1v1 Halloween game where the two of you are invisible in a school at night and you have to jump scare each other while doing goals. Under the radar? I mean, you actually do that at school? Okay, Alex. Spear Dragon. Or is it Acid Spear Dragon? It's Acid Spear Dragon. 6 mana, 3/3. It's got flying. It's got Death Touch. It also has Megamorph. So it might be a small 2/2 creature. But then you can Megamorph it into the Acid Spear Dragon. When it's turned face up, put a +1/+1 counter on each other dragon creature you controls. That has nothing to do with spewing acid. That's a complete flavor fail. I mean, at the very least, you can kill off a creature, or you could do something like target creature an opponent controls gets an acid counter, and for as long as that acid counter is on the creature, it gets -3/-3 until end of turn. It gives the creature cumulative upkeep of a green or some crap like that. I think that was a complete flavor fail in addition to being just a bad card in general. Just a random mage with Argivian Avenger. This is a 6 mana 5/5. It's a shapeshifter. For 1 mana until end of turn. Argivian Avenger gets -1/-1 and gains your choice of Flying, Vigilance, Death Touch, or Haste. That is a bit interesting because you could you can keep shrinking your creature and you keep gaining more abilities. In fact, you could have all 4. You can have all 4 abilities at once as a 1/1 creature. I don't know why you'd want to do that. Doesn't seem like a very smart idea, but it's possible. I can imagine the flying and death touch part is useful for the mostly. Beanpot, does Thicket Basilisk count? Thicket Basilisk. 5 mana for a 2/4. When it blocks or becomes blocked, destroy that creature at end of combat. No, it doesn't count because it's technically not death touch. It is death touch in spirit. Maybe I should count these. Someone said Phage earlier. Is this actually bad? Is Phage actually bad? It's pretty expensive for a bad card, you know. It's 7 mana for a 4/4. Hey, like, don't get me wrong. Well, I mean, you can't cheat it in play. But if it so much as touches you, you die. All right, that can't be the worst thing in the world. It's just very expensive. Thicket Basilisk is actually better than Death Touch. Better than Death Touch. Then Thicket Basilisk is disqualified. Too good. It's even better. It's blocks or becomes blocked. Destroy that creature at end of combat. Yeah, it doesn't matter how much damage. You can't even prevent it. Okay, next up. Okay, Christopher B needs to redeem himself. We did Corpse Blockade. It was literally my first card. Literally my first one. John. Dissection Tools. 5 mana equipment. Now, when Dissection Tools enters, manifest Dread, then attach Dissection Tools to that creature. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has Death Touch and Lifelink. Oh my god, we have to sack a creature to equip this thing. And it's not even... We manifested Dread, so it's basically just a 2/2 zombie on the battlefield. It's not technically a zombie, but I associate random 2/2 tokens as zombies. Feels very zombie-like anyway. I want to say someone played this against me once in Modern, or maybe it was Pioneer, or maybe it was Standard. Does anyone play this card? It's like a crappy Batterskull. It's really, it's really crappy Batterskull. Not nearly as big. 2/2, not a 4/4. Still got that lifelink. Death Touch is not really relevant. And you also get a germ. Oh no, it is like a Batterskull because it's a 4/4. You manifest Dread, which is a 2/2 creature. It gets +2/+2. It is Batterskull. Modern day Batterskull. Right there. Next up, Algot. Corrupted Key. It's a black key. As long as card name is tapped, creatures you control have Menace and Death Touch. Interesting. Would anyone play this? I know I won't. Von Ragnar is like, well, speaking of damage, we got our Archran Assassin from Ravnica. You get to pick, but only one creature. 3 mana 1/1 with Death Touch. All creatures able to block Archran Assassin do so. So this is just like Lure and a 1/1 Death Toucher combined. You even get a discount because Lure plus the Death Toucher, that'd be 4 mana. You get the whole package. 25% discount, Black Friday sale, get them while supplies last, the Archran Assassin. What else do we have? Questing Beast is nowhere near terrible. That card has seen so much play. The Dripping Dead. That's a pretty boss name. I am just drenched and dripping in dead around here. All right, you can smell it as it just wipes off of me. 6 mana for a 4/1 zombie. It can't block, and when it deals combat damage to a creature, destroy that creature. It can't be regenerated. Technically not Death Touch, but it can't block for 6 mana. Yeah, I'll start counting these cards only because I don't know. Maybe there's not enough Death Touchers out there. So it could be Death Touch or virtually Death Touch. Just to appease everybody. Next up. Is it Super Deathtouch? Deals combat damage to a creature, destroy that creature. Oh yeah, I see. The Super Deathtouch. Toads, did I disqualify you? Deadly Wanderings. Deadly Wanderings is a 5-mana enchantment. Remember, it doesn't have to be a creature, people. It can be anything that gives Deathtouch. That is definitely going to qualify. As long as you control exactly one. Not 2, not 3, not 4. You need 1 creature on the battlefield. It gets +2, +0, and has Deathtouch and lifelink. I really like how bad this card is, because having 1 creature on the battlefield is a losing plan. I mean, unless it's your commander, right? Maybe that will make a little bit of sense. But for 5 mana, not worth it. It's got to be a creatureless deck before this card starts to make any sense whatsoever. Evan with Arisen Gorgon. The Gorgons, they have arisen. 3 mana for a 3/3, and has Deathtouch only as long as you have Liliana. What's the lore behind that? You only bite extra hard when Liliana's at your side. You bite harder for your master. I guess you go for the brains for Liliana. Liliana makes this Gorgon extra hungry. Okay, Sir Jaroid, Heir of the Wilds. That sounds also good. Why are you mentioning good card? Oh no, maybe I recognize the card, but it's not actually good. A 2-mana 2/2 Deathtoucher, and whenever it attacks, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. I'm not gonna lie to you, I would never play this card, but it's probably gonna be one of the better cards of on the show today. The zombie gets more confident. Did we do this one, Beanpot? Cryptolith Fragment. Cryptolith Fragment. Oh no, we did that one. Yeah, we did do that one. Okay. Christopher B, 3 times the charm. I've already disqualified you twice, didn't I? Gray Slad. There we go. We have a 3-mana 4/1. And as long as there are 4 or more creature cards in your graveyard, is Menace and Deathtouch. I almost feel like that's a non-bow. Like if I've got Menace, then you can't block me so easily. And then if you block with 2, I guess the deal is if I get to block with 2, is this now OP actually with the new blocking dealing damage thing? Because with Deathtouch, you just ping each thing like once and then they're dead. Whereas with the old rules, Deathtouch, you had to like spill over the damage in order to kill something. So now Grace Slad can kill 2 4/4s or even 2 5/5s or 2 6/6s. Do I get that correct? I don't know if I've played with the new rules in paper yet. And then there's another ability on top of this. Entropic Decay, 2 mana, mill 4 cards. That's it. Read the adventure. I've read it. It was quite the adventure. We have to fill that graveyard. Remember, we don't have 4 creature cards in our graveyard. It don't got Menace. It don't got Deathtouch at all. It's just a crappy 3-mana 4/1. There's no even guarantee that when we mill 4 cards, we're even going to find any creatures in that graveyard. Bryce says Tower Winder isn't very good in 60-card formats. Tower Winder. 2-mana 1/1. Reach Deathtouch when Tower Winder enters the battlefield. Search your library and or graveyard for a card named Command Tower, reveal it and put it into your hand. If you search your library this way, shuffle. So in the 60-card formats, Command Tower does nothing. Because we don't have a commander. No commander, no use. No point. Good in commander, though. Hedgeman, welcome to the show. Does Toxic Iguana count? Probably. Okay, Toxic Iguana is a red 1/1. It has Deathtouch as long as you control a green permanent. Like we were just talking about earlier, like 1 mana 1/1 Deathtouch, that's the base. Anything worse than that is bad, and this is most certainly bad. It's just a 1/1 for 1 for the most part. Imagine drafting that and not actually going green. Pathetic. Benovsky, the Fear Abomination. Oh no, sorry, feral abomination. Is it like a cat? Do cats have death touch? No, it's a thrall. Needs death touch. Why? For trample? Oh, we looked. You actually got sniped, believe it or not. Or maybe not sniped. Like maybe you showed up late. We did this one. I don't know why it needs death touch. Good question. It probably doesn't. But you know what? Why not? You're 6 mana for a 5/5. What is the point of that? Just throw some ability on it. Okay, Dracoli, the OG Basilisk. That's not. I think we looked at that card already, but I need full names, please. Gillum, with a Cud Cobra. Cud Cobra is a 4 mana 2. It's a 4 mana 2/5 with Death Touch. This is an uncommon. I don't even think this is worth being a common by today's standards. This would never get printed. 4 mana 2, 4 mana. I would feel very sick about opening this as my uncommon. It goes with Curd Ape. Oh, the last one? Toxic Iguana. Toxic Iguana and Curd Ape together to bring fear and all the other creatures in the multiverse. Okay, next up. What Akuda Cobra is for like blocking the blocking Emrakul? It's never gonna happen. Blaze MTG. Has anyone done Finn? Ooh, Finn the Fang. You know what? Some people would be a little upset by you, Blaze, because there's big stands of Finn the Fang Bearer out there. A 2 mana 1/3 with Death Touch. Whenever a creature you control with Death Touch deals combat damage to a player, that player gets 2 poison counters. I actually completely agree. This is a very underwhelming card. Look at that, Toads. Yeah, he's good though. What do you mean? You know what? I actually agree. I think this card is awful. You fill your deck with a bunch of Death Touchers. Like, I get it. I think it's like a little too fancy, if you ask me. Got to play with premium Death Touchers. I guess if you're making a Finn the Fangbearer deck and you're running out of slots for creatures, you got to watch this show. This show teaches you how to play Finn the Fangbearer. You can fill those cracks. All right, this is a power 3 Finn the Fangbearer deck. We're constructing it right now. There just aren't enough Death Touchers. Well, you got to fill it in with these cards today. He's pretty good, though. Ever play Brawl? Well, honestly, no. So I'm just completely talking out of my rear end at this point. Dracoli with Serpentine Basilisk. 4 mana for a 2/3. What is with this image? It's like almost like a human body with a snake head. When it deals combat damage to a creature, destroy that creature at end of combat. Oh, yeah, this is classic Death Touch. Literally Death Touch before Death Touch was invented. And I guess the idea... This is even worse. You want to morph this thing? The whole idea is like you morph and then you spend another 3 mana just to gotcha your opponent. It's not even going to be that big of a gotcha. Like, what... If they block, I guess the idea is if they block with a 5/5 versus your 2, you're like, got him. I was the Death Toucher the entire time. I don't think this exchange is going to be good for you, though. 6 mana to exchange with a bigger creature, it's terrible. And they probably block because they're like, okay, fine. If you've got Serpentine Basilisk, or if you got some got him, combat trick, you got me. Human body? Well, it sort of looks human to me. Like, I get it. It could be all... Oh, there's something extra over here. I have no idea what's going on. I didn't look as far as here. That's it. That's as far as I went. There seems to be some sort of spider-looking thing over here. Dinglebag with Gorgon. They're in the sewer. This is where the toilet crap goes. 5 mana for a 2/5 Gorgon with Death Touch. Pay 2. Remove a +1/+1 counter from a creature you control. Target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. We sacrificed our +1/+1 counters to just give something -1/-1 only until end of turn. That should have been a clean exchange. That's the worst exchange rate I've ever seen. It's like a temporary loan of some. I sell something, you give something to me, and then it like disappears. Just like the time, just like people who sell video games so they can buy a pizza. Next up, Catry-san. Mardu, hate blade. Mardu, hate blade is another 1-mana Death Toucher with extra steps. Love it. So we have a white 1/1 human warrior for a black, gains Death Touch until end of turn. Another card you have to hold up the mana in order to get the Death Touch. Jess says Jess prophesizes or speculates Nikachu used to work at a used car dealership for old Teslas. Is there such thing as an old Tesla? I guess they could be getting pretty old at this point. Next up, Evan with Groom's Finery. Two-mana equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+0. It gets an additional +0/+2 and has Death Touch as long as equipped. As long as an equipment named Bride's Gown is attached to a creature you control. As long as an equipment name. What? Pay to equip. I don't even know what Bride's Gown is. How hard is it to get this Death Touch? Bride's Gown. 2-mana equipment. And it has first strike as long as an equipment named Groom's Finery is attached to a creature you control. Is this Groom's Finery? It is. I need 2 equipment on the battlefield in order to get Death Touch. I'm working so damn hard for this Death Touch. Too hard, if you ask me. Akihito! Bitterblade Warrior. Only when exerted. Bitterblade. 2 mana for a 2/2. As long as when it attacks. Sorry, you may exert it when it attacks. And when you do, it gets +1/+0 and gains Death Touch until end of turn. You gotta try extra hard. You gotta give it your all. You gotta go that extra mile. Until you're hot. If you're not huffing and puffing, you don't got Death Touch around here. The Pixel Asylum. Thanks so much for your super chat. I'm late again. How about Serpent's Gift? Thank God you named a card that we didn't do yet. Serpent's Gift. 3 mana for an instant. Target creature gains Death Touch until end of turn. That's it. That's 3 mana. You know, for like 2 to 3 mana, we can just kill the damn creature. We can just snipe it off. This is a really long-winded way to creating an artificial removal spell. Okay, we're going to look at more cards, of course. More awful Death Touch cards. But if you want to know where to buy them, maybe make a Finn the Fangbearer deck. You're going to get them at FusionGamingOnline.com. Why? Because I said so. It's my favorite place to buy Magic the Gathering cards. You got to check out the deal of the week every week. It changes every week. This week, it's 20% off all binders and portfolios. You never know what it's going to be, though. Otherwise, you can go get your Innistrad Remastered cards. There's going to be a lot of Death Touchers there. What is this? Save the Tax? Oh, yeah, we got that in Canada. You can save GST, and GS. What is it? HST. Of course. Also, Magic the Gathering Foundations. All for your buying pleasure. And don't forget, you know what? How you can save a lot of money? You got to use coupon code Nikachu. Because you get 5% off all your purchases, and it supports the channel. So it's a win-win all around. We're also going to thank Mana Traders, the premier place to rent Magic cards online. I play on Magic Online. That's how I play Magic. To play Modern, Pioneer, Standard. And I don't need to own every deck. All right? Because the decks change, especially in Standard. Like, they're good for a few months, then a new set comes out and it makes all the other decks worthless. You can rent cards with Mana Traders. And then when the deck rotates, you rotate with it and get a new deck. And you can support the channel using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or save 40% cash back on your 3rd month subscription using coupon code Nikachu_4KA. Boop, 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 boop. Serpent's Gift. It was a gift to your opponent that you wasted so much of your time casting that card. Archetype of Finality. Shuts down all of these cards as well, is it? 6 mana for a 2/3. Creatures you control have Death Touch, but creatures your opponents control lose Death Touch, and they can't have or gain Death Touch. I think the card's terrible, but I don't know why. So the card's, yeah, the card's bad, but the card looks good. If only if it was cheap enough. If it was like 3 mana, this would be pretty decent. But it's 6 mana, so it's unplayable. We got Cinid Gaming with TND, the TND TMB the ring. What? I doubt that's a card. Benovsky, you had a super chat that got exterminated. Tide Hollow Strix. I like that card. Just because Baleful Strix exists. Yeah, so it's a strictly worse Baleful Strix. Black, blue, 2/1. Baleful Strix is 1/1, but whatever. Flying Death Touch, but it does not draw a card. Baleful Strix, ETB also draw a card. Damn, I can't believe we don't have that in Modern. How unusual. The Pixel Asylum, the Searching Geist. Comes to mind. 7 CMC for a 2/1. Searchlight Geist. Is it search? It's not 7 CMC. Oh, there's a, okay, it is 7 mana somehow. 3 mana for a 2/1 flyer. 4 mana, gains Death Touch only until end of turn. You would think for 4 mana we just get it permanently. Put a Death Touch counter on this creature. They're so stingy. They're in Avacyn Restored. What is HST? I actually don't know what it stands for. It's like, it's basically the it's like the global, not global, the all-encompassing Canadian tax. Pyron, Deadly Wanderings. Okay, 5 mana enchantment. Oh, we did this one. Great card. Sorry, terrible card. Which makes it great for the show. We did Cryptolith Fragment. We didn't do the old one, Manny Matson's Cockatrice. We'll accept the Death Touch before Death Touch cards. 5 mana for a 2/4 flyer. And if it blocks or becomes blocked by a non-wall creature, destroy that creature at the end of the combat. Hexenort didn't get a card yet? Hedron Blade. 1 mana equipment. That's pretty good. Equipped creature gets +1/+1. Not bad. Whenever a equipped creature becomes blocked by 1 or more colorless creatures, it gains Death Touch until end of turn. When equipped creature becomes blocked by 1 or more colorless. Oh, it only affects the colorless. That's why it's the Hedron Blade. It's the Eldrazi Slayer, but doesn't slay anything else. Just slay your mana. We got Chen with Nurkana Cutthroat. Stands for Harmonized Sales Tax. Thanks for letting me know. Nurkana Cutthroat, the 3 mana. Ooh! A 3 mana level up card. It's a 3/2. Level up for 3. And on the first level up, we do get our Death Touch. And on level 3, so 9 mana spent into this, we get First Strike as well. Just says, I Googled it. Google's pretty smart, isn't it? HST is Harmonized Sales Tax. They just mix the GST and PST and call it HST. I just have GST here, so that's why I've never heard of it. I've heard of it, I just didn't remember what it stood for. Less than with Maze Abomination. Poor level up cards. They age so poorly. Maze Abomination is a 6 mana 4/5 Death Toucher, and multicolored creatures you control also have Death Touch. Ooh, a Lord for Death Touch. I don't know how many multicolored creatures you're gonna have with your 6 mana Maze Abomination though. Turiat, multi-class Boldrick. Another equipment. It's a 1 mana artifact. Equipped creature has lifelink if you control a cleric. Death Touch if you control a rogue. Haste if you control a warrior. And flying if you control a wizard. Now, as long as you have a full party... Where's a party sound effect? As long as you control a full party, prevent all damage that would be dealt to equipped creature. Good luck with that. It's an achievement unlocked. I literally think that was only an ability that you could get off in draft, and then like nowhere else. Just didn't exist. We did Thicket Basilisk. That one was done. What's with the abominations and Death Touch? They kill you at just looking at you. Algot with Spelling Bee? Sounds like an uncard. It is an uncard. Disqualified. It's an acorn. See that acorn down there? That's not a real card. Doesn't exist. Evan. Trench. Stalker. I should say it's a real card, but it's not a tournament legal card. Sorry, that's Stalker, not Staker. It's a Trench Stalker, stalking you in the trenches. 5 mana for a 4/5 Beast Horror. As long as you've drawn 2 or more cards this turn, it has Death Touch and Lifelink. It's good in a Brainstorm deck, or a Ponder deck, I suppose. Any deck with cantrips. Ooh, Dr. Nemo. Binding of the Old Gods. Binding of... Maybe it's just Binding of Old Gods. Binding the Old Gods. I'm an idiot. Bind the Old Gods. 4 mana. Chapter 1. Destroy target non-land permanent and opponent controls. Chapter 2. Search your library for a forest card. Put onto the battlefield tap, then shuffle. Chapter 3. Creatures you control gain Death Touch until end of turn. Honestly, pretty worthless Chapter 3. I mean, I guess you can go all out there, but like it only works on offense and not so well on defense. Like being... I'm not going to say it's useless, but Death Touch on the offense is a bit weaker, I think, than on defense. Because if you attack, your opponent can still just chump block the Death Toucher with 1 creature. Or not just chump block, even just exchange. It's like the Death Touch didn't even matter at all. Whereas I feel like when you're on defense with Death Touch, it's more meaningful. It deters people from wanting to attack you because they don't want to lose their biggest creature. And that's the whole point. You can exchange a crappy small creature with something much bigger, and you sort of you feel like you win out. I can't guarantee you're always going to win out, but you're not going to win out as often if you're on the play with these cards. Pixel Asylum with the Vial of Poison. M14's biggest mech card. 1 mana artifact. Pay 1. Sacrifice Vial of Poison. Target creature gains Death Touch until end of turn. I agree. Card's awful. Miserable. But you know what you can do? You can find this with Urza Saga. You need trample on offense with it. You absolutely are right, Dan Sloat. That's the... We all learn that the hard way, don't we, chat? Trample and Death Touch, we all learned that one the hard way. I knew... Does everyone know where you were when you first learned Trample and Death Touch? I know where I was. It was definitely at an F&M. And holy crap. I was blown away. Couldn't even believe it. I swear I just thought my opponent was just BSing me. Had to call the judge and everything. And every so often I forget what it does, but I'll be re-reminded by the internet. Oh boy, with Gilt Leaf Ambush. Elf decks are usually bad at clashing. No, it's true. 3 mana for an elf. Put 2 1/1 green elf warrior creature tokens into play. Clash with an opponent. Oops. Clash with an opponent. If you win, those creatures gain Death Touch until end of turn. These creatures are worthless. And yeah, you're totally right. Outside of like some of the payoff cards, like a Critterhoof Behemoth, there's not really that many expensive cards in an elf deck. Hey, David. Late to the party, but Ty Varkel. It's definitely... That sounds like a Planeswalker. Tyvar Kell is a 4 mana 3 loyalty planeswalker. Elves you control have tap out of black. +1. Put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target elf. It gains Deathtouch until only until end of turn. Again, only good on offense, not good on defense. Pay 0 to get a 1/1 elf warrior creature token. -6. You get an emblem with whenever you cast an elf spell, it gains haste. Whenever you cast an elf spell, it gains haste. Until end of turn, you draw 2 cards. That's actually pretty good. How to go -3? That's not so easy, but I think that ultimate is pretty damn good. Banovsky, you are back. Forced kill. Never gets drafted in my cube. Why? Well, why not? Well, maybe it's because it's 5 mana and it's an aura. And you enchant a creature. Enchanting creature's base power and toughness is 1/1 and has Deathtouch and is an assassin in addition to its other types. Enemy spotted. What is the point? I don't get this card. Are you supposed to put it on your opponent's creatures? Oh, you steal a creature. So it's like a weird piece of removal. This card's better than it looks. Definitely a lot better than it looks. Meteor Storms. Vraska. Scheming Gorgon. 6 mana for a 5 loyalty Vraska. +2. Creatures control get +1/+0 until end of turn. You can also destroy a creature. -10. Until end of turn, creatures you control gain Deathtouch. And whenever this creature deals damage to an opponent, that player loses the game. Loses the game? It's actually quite the payoff. I'd say it's worth it for the most part. Did we do this one, Steve Cooper? I'll take a look. Nirkana Cutthroat. Yeah, we did this one. Sorry about that, Steve Cooper. I don't understand. Yeah, you were there for that one. I'm pretty sure you were there for that one. Exnort with Acidic Dagger. This is a 4 mana artifact. Pay 4, destroy any non-wall creature receiving combat damage from target creature this turn. If target creature leaves play, bury Acidic Dagger. Use this ability only before the defense is chosen. Okay, what does this card really do? I'm not reading the ancient scripture. Pay 4, tap. Whenever a target creature deals combat damage to a non-wall creature this turn, destroy that non-wall creature. Okay, so it's like Deathtouch. Whenever the targeted creature leaves the battlefield this turn. Whenever target creature. Okay, so if my creature died, the initial creature, sacrifice Acidic Dagger, activate only before blockers are declared. Only before? That's terrible. Basically going to show everything to my opponent. How is Shieldred the Apocalypse a bad card? It's a good card. By worst, we mean it's a we mean it's a stinker. It's 2 thumbs down. That's what we mean today by the worst. The worst of the worst. Thrill Kill Assassin from Toads. By the way, I've talked to King Ginger. He's doing great. That's great. I'm glad to hear King Ginger is doing amazing. I only hope the best for him. Thrill Kill Assassin. 2 mana for a 1/2. It's I thought it was an you know what? If you squint hard enough, it looks like an insect, right? I don't see it there. I don't see a person over here. It's a human assassin though. With Deathtouch and Unleash, you may have this creature enter the battlefield with +1/+1 counter on it. It can't block as long as it has a +1/+1 counter on it. It's basically a 2 mana 2/3. Blacklands Gino asks, worst Deathtouch? Isn't Deathtouch one of the best abilities a creature can have? That's why it's so amusing when we see the worst Deathtouchers. Blaze says, did you get Attila? The Eternal Pilgrim? Is it Atla, the Eternal Pilgrim? Attila. I don't know where this card is. We'll just go to a super chat. Sir Jaroid, does Infinity Elemental count? It kills anything. We'll take a look. Probably it'll count, especially since you super chatted. 7 mana for an infinite 5 elemental. This creature has infinite power. It's so infinite that its flavor text says it's so infinite that its flavor text says it's so infinite. Okay, we'll count it for today. The infinite power creature. Oh man, but it can one-shot you to death. Tola Duck with the Death Bloom Gardener. Funny story, after using this card's other ability, its Deathtouch ability is basically useless until their next unstep step. 3 mana for a 1/1 Elf Druid with Deathtouch, tap, add 1 mana of any color. That's it. That's all it does. What's disappointing about this card is you probably want it for the mana more than you want it for the Deathtouch. But it's got a dual role. You know, this is a super casual card. To have this random mana dork on the battlefield, yeah, come at me, buddy. You're going to lose that creature. I got a Deathtoucher. I know how to use it. I suggest Calist Roka. Oh, what is this card? 5 mana for a 2/2 human wizard. Prowess Deathtouch. When you cast Calist Roka, you may choose a creature or planeswalker on the battlefield. Calist Roka becomes a copy of that creature or planeswalker, and the creature or planeswalker becomes a copy of Calist Roka. What even happened here? Creature or planeswalker on the battlefield becomes a copy of... Oh, it's just a clone. That happens to have prowess and Deathtouch. Do I get to keep... Becomes a copy of... And that creature or planeswalker becomes a copy. But then what happens when it becomes a copy? When you cast... Oh, only when you cast. I see. So we do all switcheroo. Changing spaces. Changing lives. The dank spanker. Cackling slasher. Come down the long line of slashers. There's even the unstoppable slasher, which is not particularly that unstoppable. 4 mana for a 3/3 human assassin. Is that really human? What part of human is this? It looks incredibly zombie-like. Look at the arms! There's nothing left! Deathtouch. Cackling slasher deal enters with a +1/+1 counter on it if a creature died this turn. I guess maybe this is not the... This is the creature that's gonna die. Steve Cooper saying giving the infinite powered creature lifelink means infinite life. I don't know how that would work with the rules. Okay, Jay says, I don't know if this would work with the rules, but Hungry Lynx. Well, I'm the judge and jury about this. So 2 mana for a 2/2. Cats you control have protection from rats. They can't be blocked, targeted, or dealt damage by rats. At the beginning of your upkeep, target opponent creates a 1/1 black rat. With Deathtouch. It was a weird giving them the Deathtouch creatures. Whenever a rat dies, put a +1/+1 counter on each cat you control. This cat got to be careful. Why does the rat have Deathtouch? At the beginning of your end step, target opponent creates a 1/1 black rat creature token with Deathtouch. Does it have a disease or something? It's just a rat. How is like a Deathtouch the standard for a guy? Look at this. It's not even a rat. It's a mouse. Who's in control? The Hungry Lynx is in control. Okay. The Pixel Asylum with Quietus Spike. Mega Deathtouch for a cost. What does that mean? It's going to kill everybody down your family bloodline or something? 3 mana. For an equipment that will give Deathtouch. Whenever a equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, that player loses half their life rounded up. That's actually pretty scary. You also have to equip for 3. Rats carry plague. Does a plague kill you on the spot? But thanks for letting me know. That actually makes some sense. Timon. Void Beckoner. Well, it's definitely too expensive. I mean, it's 8 mana for an... Oh, but it is an 8/8. It's like an octopus. Deathtouch, cycling for 3 mana. When you cycle the Void Beckoner, put a Deathtouch counter on target creature you control. Seems like a neat combat trick. For the most part. Jess says, I'd also eat rats if they gave me +1/+1 counters. You heard it here first. Jess is all about eating fair game and wildlife within the city. David with attracts a Grand Unifier is obviously amazing. Nah, I don't think it's Deathtouch. I'll admit the Deathtouch is a bit overkill, but Deathtouch is Deathtouch, and the card outside of that is just amazing. 10 out of 10 card, right? Christopher B with the Agent of the Shadow Thieves. 2-mana legendary enchantment. It's also a background. Commander creatures you own have whenever this creature attacks a player, if no opponent has more life than that player, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. It gains Deathtouch and indestructible until end of turn. This card reads so much like a custom Magic the Gathering card. But because background doesn't even sound like a real thing, even though I know it is. Minovsky's like, Traxxas Deathtouch? Really? Why? Yeah, it's true. Go check. Go look it up. Google it. It'll confirm. Rough 1x1. A Cryptolith. We did Cryptolith Fragment. Dr. Nemo. Trostani. 3 Whispers. Oh. Yeah, 3 mana, 4/4. For 2 mana, target creature gains Deathtouch until end of turn. Also for 1 mana, target creature gains Vigilance until end of turn. And also for 3 mana, target creature gains Double Strike until end of turn. How do we feel about paying this mana every single turn? I wouldn't. I would not do it. Maybe, what would I pay for? Maybe the 1 mana one, that's not too harsh. Why is it ordered the way it is? Shouldn't be like 1, 2, and 3. Judith Carnage Connoisseur, not sure if it's good or not, but definitely goofed. Judith Carnage Connoisseur. Judith C! There we go. 5 mana for a 3/4. And you cast an instant and sorcery, you choose one. That spell gains Deathtouch and Lifelink. Or create a 2/2 red imp creature token with when this creature dies, it deals 2 damage to each opponent. So what does that mean if an instant or sorcery spell has Deathtouch and Lifelink? Oh, is it to turn like random shocks into straight up like one-shot kills? I guess that's the idea. I was like, well, if any instant could like target a creature, maybe it just dies on the spot. That'd be pretty good. She can gain a silly amount of life. I think she's good. The Pixel Asylum with Baleful Eidolon. A late game went fart for 5 mana. Fart or far? There's a difference between the two. 2 mana, 1/1. It's got Bestow for 5. It's got Deathtouch. Or you can give the creature +1/+1 in Deathtouch. Wow, what a ruin. This card's terrible. It's not even clear to me that even for 2 mana, this card's worth it. Just deal 1 damage to opponent's creatures like with Pestilence Spirit. Yeah, that would work. Jess is like, you telling me you wouldn't cook up a 10-rat stew to become god-powered? Depends where I got the rats. Sources mean everything. Less than with Creepy Doll. Uh, 5 mana for a 1/1 artifact creature construct. Creepy Doll is indestructible. And when it deals combat damage to a creature, flip a coin. If you win the flip, destroy that creature. It's all going to come down to a coin toss. This is two-face rules over here. Batman two-face rules. We flip a coin. Heads, you live. Tails, you don't live so well. Male with Lord Farquaad? What is this called? Lord Farquaad? It doesn't exist. Conda. Is it this one? Nope. I have no idea what you're talking about. Sorry about that. Oh, this thing doesn't exist? What? What was I getting trolled here? Cartoonist's Otter Storm is the next one. What? Okay, just a random mage with Scream Puff. Too expensive and bad for your health. 5 mana for a 4/5 horror. It's got Deathtouch, and when it deals combat damage to a player, we get a food token. Is it really that bad? Sounds like it's nourishing me. Some way or somehow, some way. That's a Shrek joke? Oh. That Shrek joke just... I honestly haven't seen all the Shreks. I've seen the first one. I've seen a very late one where there's apparently a lot of princesses and a lot of princes, I think. And I think the donkey turns into a dragon, or no, maybe the donkey falls in love with the dragon, something like that. I'm not really up to date with the Shrek lore. I have seen the first one though. Farquaad is the villain from the first movie. Is that the prince? Farquaad. Yeah, it is. This devilishly handsome person. There we go. What does he have? But what does he have to do with Deathtouch? How did this get? How did this end up on the show? Could you imagine a Shrek Universes Beyond? Absolutely. It's probably on the way. The Dank Spanker with a Fetid Imp. Paying for Deathtouch every turn for half ain't worth it. Paying for Deathtouch. Oh yeah, absolutely. You got that. And it's 2 mana. We saw a few cards on here. It's 1 mana. And you still have to pay. Spending 2 mana for a 1/2 flyer. Screw up your 3 drops and 4 drops for the rest of the game. Tola Duck with Wren's Run Vanquisher. Edward is like, dude, spoiler alert, I haven't seen any of the Shrek movies. I don't think we spoiled anything, to be honest. Oh, this card! 2 mana for a 3/3. As an additional cost to cast this spell, reveal an elf card from your hand or pay 3 mana. Deathtouch. I think this card's awesome. I think this card's underrated. I think this is basically like green elf removal. Or not elf removal. It's removal for elves. I like it. Farquaad. And that's how it's... Well, I have not seen the Shrek movies in a very long time. No donkey. Shags the dragon. Has donkey dragon kids. Yeah, I remember that. I did see... Or maybe I did not see it. Maybe I saw the movie where there was already dragon donkey babies. Is there a Hunted Nightmare card? Nikachu's French is terrible. Oh, you don't know the beginning of it. You know, my happiest moment in my academic career is when I went from grade 8 to grade 9, and I did not have to take French anymore. It was not mandatory for me. It was mandatory from, like, I think grade 4 to grade 8. Wow, that's only 4 years. No, it's basically 5 years. But that felt like an eternity. Just an absolute eternity. I never knew why I needed to learn French. It's not like and I've never engaged. I've never needed French once yet. Anyway, for Hunted Nightmare, 3 mana for a 4/5 Nightmare. Menace. When Hunted Nightmare enters the battlefield, target opponent puts a Deathtouch counter on a creature they control. Actually, there was one situation where maybe I could have used French. It was at a McDonald's, but I used the app, so I completely dodged having to use the use French. That was the only situation, and I got a little scared because I didn't know what my order would be when they called it, so I had to like Google like my order number 220 and then hear it in French so I could then pay extra close attention. Okay, Benovsky with the super chat. 2025 last Universes Beyond set is Shrek. Move aside SpongeBob. Ah, it's gonna happen. All right, thank you very much. for letting us know that. But then maybe you want to... Okay, we're donating a super chat. Has anyone said Stinkweed Imp? Oh, great. Okay, we'll count it in some way. Stinkweed Imp. It's a bad Death Toucher. Card is broken though. So 3 mana 1/2 flying basically Death Touch. Deals combat damage to a creature, destroy that creature. The thing that makes this good though is it's a dredger, and it's insane at what it does. The text box above here, useless. Ignore that. The text box below, dredge 5, that's all you need. We've got Bell with no card yet. Endling. This is a 4 mana 3/3 zombie shapeshifter. Black Endling gains menace until end of turn. Black Endling gains Death Touch until end of turn. Endling gains Undying until end of turn. And for 1 mana, Endling gets +1, -1, or -1, +1 until end of turn. One of the Endlings that was forgotten just as easily as it came into the world. Okay, that's it for today, people. Thanks so much for joining me. We learned about all those terrible Death Touchers in the game. A lot of terrible Death Touchers. If you want to be part of the show, you got to be here at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, just like everyone else. All the cool people are here at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thanks to everyone who supports the channel. If you're a patron on Patreon, a member on YouTube, or you Super Chat to be part of the show, or even Super Chat so other people are part of the show. And of course, thanks to my crew. I salute you. I salute Bell and Steve Cooper and Toilet Duck, Jess, Toads, Christopher B. We got Algot, Ellis. We've got, who else do we have here? Dinglebag, Little Deadfly, Benovsky, Hexenor, Dr. Nemo. Pretty sure I said Christopher B already, because you guys are my crew. Thank you very much. As usual, keep bringing up them coffees, and we're going to keep bringing up the magic. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you at the next cup.